Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Rain Dunnigan.
And man, getting these little car podcasts, and I know it feels like we bring it up a lot, but it feels like there's no proper way to get everything set up that you feel. You're like, okay, I'm gonna plug it in here and get it all set up and so on. And this one I got like attached to the steering wheel, and now it just feels like you were saying before. It's like someone getting really into Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino, and they're gonna start getting all these like crazy creative shots. Like they almost focus on that way more than the actual story.
Well, because last episode we did, and I mentioned it on this, but like the last episode we covered From Dusk Till Dawn, and
yeah,
for our last Halloween episode of the year, and I was talking about From Dusk Till Dawn 2, which I own, which I've only watched once because it's From Dusk Till Dawn 2. And it's one of those movies, even though I only watched it once, so I guess I can say this, but I remember it was one of those movies that was trying a bunch of very like weird, ambitious, creative shots. And you know, the guy's like, man, how can I honor like Rodriguez and Tarantino? And like, well, they probably wouldn't do this, but they were like, oh, okay, sure. That you swung. Like whenever there's a part where a guy's cracking into a safe, and whenever he was turning it, like the camera was spinning the way the safe was. Like, yeah, I don't think they do that. It's a little bit much. Or there's a part where like one guy's giving information, another guy's doing push-ups, and the camera keeps going up and down, looking at him as he's talking. Like, yeah, okay, all right. So when I was watching, when you were setting up your camera, just seeing like, not like that, not like that, I was like, oh wow. Getting flashbacks to that shitty straight-to-video movie.
Exactly. It just even reminds me of just making movies and so on like that too. And then, yeah, as I said, there's always the people that want to get they focus really on the creative shots more than they focus on anything else.
Yeah, or
you'll watch kind of a half-ass movie, and then they'll be like, "Wait, man, look at this! You're gonna be mind blown when you see this shot I got. You know, you're gonna see it, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? How did he do that?"
Well, there's also a little bit of that like real humbling thing that comes from when you're making a movie, like when you're like showing a movie to like your film class or to whatever class project it is, and you're showing it, and you're just kind of like, this joke is going to land, and there's utter crickets. I'm like, okay, well, the next one's going to land because that's the best joke in the thing. And then there's like more crickets. You're like, fuck, there's 10 minutes left to go. And you just slowly sink down like, oh, fuck, what am I doing? Yeah. So it was like, that is one of those things like, editing is important. Cutting is important. Okay.
Yeah. You feel like there's that thing of like, you know, maybe it's better to have less, you know, something that actually modern filmmakers don't really understand anymore. They're just like, no, fill it up. Damn it. Get that movie theater going. There's nobody here. I don't care. There's nobody here. Well, they're going to enjoy my opus. It's Mission Impossible 6. Damn it, it's an opus.
I mean, I didn't see it, and I have zero plans on watching it. I'm actually going to double check, make sure I'm not mixing movies up right now.
No, I thought you talking about Mission Impossible 6, or whatever, 6 or 7, whatever the hell they're on. It's actually good. Don't say you're not going to see that one, because I would say
no. I will plan. I wanted to see that in theaters. It just got by me. How long is this fucking thing? It just came out. I just want to make sure I'm right before I say, like, yeah, Jesus. Okay, so the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is 109 minutes.
I saw that one in theaters, actually.
Oh, you did?
I did. I had 2 hours to kill. The time looked about right. Or I had 2.5 hours to kill. So I'm like, the time looked right. It was the only movie that was at the time right when I got off. I was like, you know what? I could go sit in the car and wait for a while, or I could just go to the movie theaters and sit and wait. And I'm like, you know what? What the hell? I'll go see this. This at least, I will say, the Five Nights at Freddy's concept is at least it's a very interesting one. And I know nothing about this, so let's go and see what the hell it all is. You know. So I went there, and the movie was short. The downfall was it kind of screwed up my time plan because the movie took 35 to 40 minutes to get rolling after all the goddamn ads. And I mean, nothing wrong with trailers, but I just don't want to see commercial ads when I'm in the movie theater. I know they got to make their money somehow, but
isn't it like over 2 hours? So the movie's over 2 hours or something, wasn't it? Over like
no, it's short. It's like under. It's like an hour and 50 minutes. I don't know.
90 minutes. Oh, I said 109 minutes. Oh fuck, I misread. The fucking idiot. Math. Great. That's fucking recorded for here.
Man's mortal enemy.
Yeah, because 90 minutes would be
an hour and a half.
I heard someone say it was like 2 hours plus. I heard someone say that, and I was like, what?
No, it was short. It was 2 hours plus of those trailers and ads, of all the stupid Pepsi ads and everything else I need to see.
Runtime, really?
But
an hour and 49 minutes. Where the fuck did I hear this thing? Oh, you know what? I heard it was like, I'm not gonna lie. It's late over here for me. I don't have the math side of my brain on, so I was like 109 minutes. Oh, that's probably that. I'm not going to do the math in my head right now, but yeah, the original runtime was apparently 3 hours, and they had to trim this thing down. So okay, all right, that's what I've heard. Well,
okay, sorry, I mean, let's be honest. Most movies, I guess, always have the original, like what they shot compared to what they actually end up editing down. It's not like anybody shoots a movie and be like 90 minutes. There we go. No more, no less. Should we shoot and cover? Hell no. We got the 90-minute mark. We're perfect. Don't need to do anything else from here. It's all good. You sure about that? Positive.
I don't know why. I just thought I've heard it was like 2.5 hours, but no, 190 minutes sounds about right, or almost 2 hours sounds about right.
Yeah. It's funny though when I watch the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, it's like this almost goes to show that like you're getting old when because that's like that thing that like appeals really hardcore to like the youth, like for like the last 10 years it fits in that same category as like Minecraft and all that stuff. And all I think about it is you just kind of look at it and go, oh, so what the youth see here is that what is really scary is what we grew up with. You know what I mean? You know how like when we were growing up, it's like, well, what's scary? The 1800s. That's scary. When you see an old, black and white photo of like a cowboy town and whatnot, and now it's like Bodie over there. You know what I mean? That's the ghost town in California. You take some old black and white photos of that. That looks scary. There's a horror movie waiting to happen there now. So what these kids go like, what's really scary? 1980s like pizza parlor with animatronics in their arcades. And pinball, God forbid, pinball.
Zoomers just gotta like skip over what like the part of Goof Troop, if they even can get through Goof Troop, or like the Goofy movie when they stop at the Possum theme park.
The Possum one, that one was actually kind of frightening as a kid. I remember watching that like in 1995, and I was like, well, that was a little intense of a scene there. And then I felt kind of bad because I remember like that was like that one where I'd like as a kid I would feel more emotion for like those kind of scenes where it's just like, dude, his dad's trying so hard. What's fucking wrong with Max? Jesus Christ. Like, you see Goofy afterwards, he bites in the head. He's like, stupid hat, Dad. You're stupid. Don't you ever take me one of these places again. You're a terrible father. I wish Pete was my dad.
What?
At least he's got a hot tub and a motorhome.
Well, Max, I wish you weren't my fucking son either. Did you ever think about that? You ever think that like you keep trying to make this like there's this thing that's in your house, lives for free, eats all your fucking food, keeps you up at all goddamn hours of the night, doesn't clean the fucking sticky ass but like shower floor. Don't fucking lie. I know what you're doing there, fucking Mac. God damn it. And you just bitch and moan all fucking night. Like if you just have that like real like breakdown moment for Goofy.
just at the Possum theme park where he's got the fucking hat on.
And like somebody's like looking like, are you guys okay? Hey, how much about your own fucking business?
Jack, I'll go kick his fucking ass just for you, Max. Don't you dare let me see that. You know what I mean? I'm a good fucking father. I work hard taking goddamn photos of little bratty children every day so that you can come home and play your super fucking Nintendo.
He's like, hey, this is a family park. Oh, guess what? You're next, motherfucker. Gloves are coming off. Just like takes off the gloves. He just has like super like photorealistic hands. They're all like calloused and muscular. And just like, beat the fuck out of the guy in the rain.
It's just like in Cincy, he's like, my mitts.
It's just like the like, oh, Goofy lived a life before this. He's retired. Like this is supposed to be like this is his like I don't go by that name anymore. And then when he's like working at the photo booth, now he's just out there like he's like, son, Dad, go. Like, son, you brought this upon him. It's happening because of you. He just keeps beating this guy in the rain. Looks like now we're going on the run.
Out on the open road.
That's the rest of the movie. They're trying to just dispose the body. That's the real reason they got to go there.
It's just a cover-up story. It's a cleaner. Yeah. Pete's the only one in on it. You know, he's like the mob boss. Well, Goof, you got to keep him under your thumb now.
Under your thumb, 6 feet under. I don't know. He went back to Goofy, but but Five Nights at Freddy's, yeah.
Yeah, you know, scary theme park things like that and so on. You know, I don't know. It was one of those ones. It was like a very like educational experience watching that movie because like that's like totally going in blind. Like I know it's scary Chuck E. Cheese. That's all I know. Beyond that, I couldn't tell you anything else beforehand about it. So it was one of those ones when you go in there, you're like, I have no idea who these characters are, how the story is. Like it was almost even slightly confusing because it's like, you know, not like in a bad way, but just because like I just don't know what's going on, like where this is gonna go. I don't know what kind of turns and twists, and I don't know if this is in the game, but the guy, you know, starts off and he has like this like mental issue where he's like always trying to figure out that his brother was stolen at like 10 years old, like somebody kidnapped him at like a Nebraska, you know, campground or whatnot. They're on a family vacation and whatnot, and so he keeps trying to recreate this dream scenario over and over and over again to figure out who that guy was that stole his brother. And it's like a really weird thing. I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, this feels like two movies slapped together. You know, I'm like, was this in the game? I know there's like 5 of those games.
I've never, I mean, I've watched like when it first came out, I watched a couple of like Let's Plays of it just to see what the fuck this thing was.
Yeah.
And that's right when it came out. Like, at least when I remember, I mean, it was probably out before that. I remember it coming out like in 2014 or something like that. Might be wrong there. But I heard what the movie did is it really went heavy into the lore. And it's one of those movies like only people that are really, I mean, I give it credit for this, but another part of me is just like, I still don't give a shit to really watch it. But well, now that I know it's a lot shorter, if it pops up on Netflix or something, maybe I'll check it out. I heard like, I don't know where I heard it was like 2.5 hours. I must have heard about the original cut, but yeah. But apparently it does that thing where it brings in a lot of lore, and it's like, if you really appreciate, like it's kind of left to fill in the blanks if you watch the shit or if you play the shit. But if you don't, it's a little bit of like, why is he wearing a suit that kills him? Why is this? Why is that? You know? So, yeah.
Yeah, it does definitely have a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, like, as the movie kind of went on, I was like, okay, everything's kind of coming together. I just thought it had weird choices. That was what I thought. Like, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought it was like, you know, middle of the road, interesting, I will say. But when it's one of those ones where I watch it, I go, you hate to sort of see it, but like, I can make a better like scary Chuck E. Cheese movie than this. Like, you know, like ghost children possessing the puppets. Like, I thought it was gonna be more like robotic type, like, you know, murder machines that were in there and stuff. And then you're like, oh, it's all sad ghost children that were stolen by, you know, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, I heard about that part. I mean, I didn't see the movie, but I know that something I've heard from the original game is it was just robots, but then they added the other layer of, oh, they're actually possessed, which I'm like, I don't know. I mean, okay, the bodies are still in there. That's creepy. But I think it's actually better if they're not possessed, if they are just robots just doing shit. You know, that's me, though. I mean, I never really played any of the games. I just watched the Let's Plays of the first one. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of with you on that. That was the sort of way I was, too. I mean, granted, yeah, it's like, whatever. At least the upside I will say is the dude that made the game was the writer on the movie. So at least it's not like someone just ripped it out of his hands and just ran with it. So at least I give it kind of credit there, you know, but it just reminded me like one of those ones where it's like, it was cool. It's a good concept, but I feel like it's one of those movies where that concept's actually such a great concept that I think it could be done like 10 times better if somebody else gave it kind of another go. Like, you know, something, it'd be hard to do it now because now like the kids will look and be like, that's just a Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff, you know, but I do feel like scary Chuck E. Cheese could be taken to the next level. Plus the fact that it's kind of weird because that thing, I was even looking at some of the games afterwards. It's like they sell the games. It's like, it's family friendly horror, like murderous robots, you know, keeping a guy up at night at his fucking like night job is family. Like, okay, that's a weird way to sell that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of weird because it's like they have this almost very like brutal concept of how everything is, and like people getting shoved into like the machines and the machines clamping down on them, and it's like, but then they try to pull it back just enough so it's like, but it's family friendly, kids. You can watch this at church
after Sunday class or whatever, or Sunday school.
Yeah, it's a weird like pedal zone of like, trying to keep it like, I don't know. It feels like it's a rated R concept by far, but like they're trying to pull it back to almost like PG in a weird way. I don't know. That's such a, but not like in a fun way. Like if it was like a Monster Squad or something like that. Like they're still trying to keep it in that dark horror, but then it's a weird tightrope walk, I will say.
Well, it's also one of those. Well, first off, I never played any of the games, but I know the first game at least. I don't know what the future ones, but the first game at least works like. Do you know how it plays exactly? Or
yeah, because it's like you sort of watch security cameras,
jump
and whatnot, and like
more or less.
Yeah, that's kind of how. Yeah, it kind of goes like that. Like it's almost one of those like
so much power to keep the door open or closed. And you got to check the monitors, see where they're at. So I mean, I think creatively that's an interesting way to like build the tension. I think it's a very creative like first for indie project. I think it's very creative and using what you got.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think that like all the concepts around it is interesting. Like I almost still kind of want to give the game a go after kind of hearing that, because every once in a while you'll see they'll put the whole set for sale for like next to nothing, because I really think those games came out on PS3. I almost want to say. I want to say they were one of those ones when like the initial Xbox 360 and PS3 kind of digital stores came up. That was kind of like the big game of that kind of era that caught the kids' attention. And I just remember, like, that was one of those ones you go into, like, GameStop as, like, an adult, be like, what the hell is all this Five Nights at Freddy's thing? I don't understand this. What are the kids into nowadays? Why is Freddy in my day was Freddy Krueger. Who's this other Freddy Fazbear?
Yeah. What the fuck is... Yeah, well, there's also... what was I going to say? I think that... I'm not trying to be, like, dismissive of this thing because I didn't grow up with it, but at the exact same time, like, because I've heard some people saying, man, it should have been rated R, but I'm kind of looking like, well, I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people who grew up playing it are probably now, if you do the math, are probably in like their early 20s now, or maybe even mid 20s, but there's still a lot of people that were playing it around that. Even then, there were still kids that are probably like, teens or even like preteens right now. They're really into it. So that's one of those franchises I get why they're still PG-ifying it or PG-13. It's like, I understand why the first two Mortal Kombats were PG-13 because who was your big demographic at the time? I mean, I know it by this point it's probably gone beyond that, but I get why though, especially when the first game, it's just the jump scare that gets you. And it's the lore, apparently, the more you look into it, where you get the creepy stuff.
Yeah, well, and as I said, those games are all sold. Like they literally said in the description when I was kind of looking at them the other day, is they're all sold like family-friendly horror entertainment. Like that's literally in the description. So it's like they're not going to make it rated R because of that.
Just trying to think of what you call this, like two millennials trying to understand like Five Nights at Freddy's without playing the game. Like so from what I've heard, from what I've looked at, I've never actually played the fucking game, but you saw the movie and I saw a Let's Play 10 years ago. And I
saw a couple action figures, so I think I had an idea.
We are literally the studio exec, like looking at like, hey, so we got this thing called Double Dragon. Let me see the instruction booklet. Yeah, I fucking get it. And they just walk in.
Yeah, let's make a movie off this. Okay. Yeah, one of those ones like that. The weird thing is like I think when I think about this though, is the concept of it seems like it's actually, I mean, just including making it scary for kids, but like really like it's almost even made for people technically even older than us, because I feel like the core Chuck E. Cheese generation is you had to be in like the late 70s to mid 80s kind of era. We're kind of on like the tail end when you get to like the late 80s, early 90s. That's when Chuck E. Cheese is kind of on its way out almost in a sense. It's there, but it doesn't have that same power that it carried in the 70s and 80s, when it's Pizza Time Theater and all that Nolan Bushnell stuff. So I feel like almost like it sounds like almost in a weird way that like the main target audience for someone who would really have real nostalgicness for that time would be someone who's almost like 10 years older than us, even when I think about it. But then again, that'd be such a weird one to be like, okay, here you go, Mr. like 45-year-old man. Here's the movie for you, Five Nights at Freddy's.
I'm wondering how ghoulish it would be and how tasteless people would consider it. But how many people would actually go to check it out if it was the case? If they had like an animatronic, like realistic, I mean, I'm talking like top level, like Disney Imagineers making this shit. And it was kind of like, hey, it's like, it's open, it's a bar, it's more for adults. And it's kind of like there's Tupac, or there's David Bowie, or there's John Lennon, you know, like just something. People would say it's very tasteless, and I understand why. But another part of me is
well, I think it's Five Nights at Tupac's.
Yeah. Just starts chasing me.
Well, it's one of those ones. I actually can't think of that Five Nights at Freddy's for how popular it is.
It's just your mama. He gained self-awareness.
Exactly. You almost could make a very nostalgic, like kind of redone version of Chuck E. Cheese that I bet you would actually sell well for a moment. It was not like a lasting kind of business. It's like there's like you make a Five Nights at Freddy's, an actual pizzeria that you can go into, and it's kind of got that, but it's almost. It's like, you know, Chuck E. Cheese like, where it's got all the same things, but it just kind of has more of a horror tinge to it, you know? Like, I could see something like that actually being one of those, like, you know, ones. As I said, it wouldn't last for that long, but it's something that could almost happen. Probably too expensive to run this day and age. So much physical stuff, but with like a modern arcade even and all that kind of stuff. It'd be like a Dave and Buster's, I guess, but just themed differently.
I remember of like there was I've said this before on the show. It was a long time ago. Back when I was a kid, I went to Chuck E. Cheese a couple of times, but there's a place that we went to more, and it was actually one of those things. Like, you ever have those things where like your parents kind of like it a little bit more because it's kind of like that bridge between them, between you and them. And there's a place called Bullwinkle's, and it was literally, I mean, a lot of younger people probably don't know about this cartoon, but it was Rocky and Bullwinkle, the old, you know, and it was basically Chuck E. Cheese, but with Bullwinkle's characters and those type. It was like Bullwinkle, Underdog, Dudley Doo Right. It's probably another one I'm forgetting, but basically it was, and you would go in, you know, they had the arcade, and they would have like wanted posters of like Boris and Natasha, and like the bad guy from Dudley Doo Right, and all that.
Snappy Whiplash.
Yeah. And it would just, you know, they have the whole aesthetic. And what would happen is like, even like the band, which was Rocky, Bullwinkle, and then I think it was like Dudley Doo Right was on the drums, Underdog was on the keyboard. There's probably another character I'm forgetting somewhere in there. And then in the balcony box was like Boris and Natasha, and they would like just talk shit like the old Muppets, you know, the old man Muppets. And I remember it was really cool. It was really immersive, but then they stopped kind of updating shit after a while. And like, kids don't know who fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle are anymore, you know? And as it went on, like, they just started like being decrepit. Like when Underdog was on the keyboard, he would just be like, just like all like zombieing out, just kind of like spazzing out. Like Dudley Do Right would just kind of like have the same motion, just like same drum motion over and over. Rocky, I don't remember what was wrong with Rocky exactly, but Bullwinkle was gone like full on like Terminator 2. Like part of his face was missing. You can see some of the robotics, so you can see like the mechanics. Exactly. Definitely had that going on. And then what would happen is
just
like
big old red eye.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no stock. She just turns and looks at you like, oh, he's going pretty fast there. Shit. 20 years ahead of
asshole.
Well, points like the grenade launcher, you know. Like, oh, he got that from the prize shop, but he got it next to the Virtua Boy. No, and it was also, God, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, whenever like Boris and Natasha would be like, we must find a way to ruin show for Moose and Skrull or whatever, like a light would shine on and they would roll out and talk shit and they just roll back. After a while, the light would just shine on and they would have them see, they wouldn't roll out. You maybe see like the top of their heads kind of like in the back of the balcony. So it was one of these things where it was like, I mean, my dad was like, man, they just fucking ruined it. Cause like, I think he liked that cartoon as a kid. So
yeah, well, yeah.
And he was kind of like saying, you know what, for being what it was pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it was kind of cool seeing these things from my childhood, and they had actually good beer and good pizza, and yeah, I kind of liked it, you know. And then it's just one of those things where you're just like, these guys fucking ruined it.
Come on, Ryan, the Cold War's over. We're going home.
We lost. Boris and Natasha won, and their eye patch Nazi commander.
Well, that one really is. I mean, like, don't wrong. Like, I watched a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle when I grew up, but I think that was because it's like that was the thing. The parents like, oh yeah, there we go. Here's a classic show for the kids. Come on, throw this on. Like, you'll enjoy this. This is a great one, you know. And of course, yeah, you just watch it and you enjoy it and so on. But that is kind of a bizarre one where they're like, you know what, this Chuck E. Cheese is popular. I think we could do something similar. You know, we got cartoon characters. Yeah, cartoon characters that technically haven't had anything for a while. That's okay. At some point, they're going to get live action movies of all this stuff.
Well, it's also weird when you think about it, because like Rocky and
George of the Jungle, I guess, is the other one too.
Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Oh yeah, that's the other one there
they
too.
They were in the band. That was the ones I was thinking of. But yeah, it was like, it's funny though, because it's like when you think back on that, like at the time, I get it, because there actually are like kid cartoons that are like aimed like kind of like, yeah, kids could enjoy it, but it's also a little bit like it's clever enough for an adult to enjoy. I'll full on say it. I think Gravity Falls is a really well written show and it's pretty funny. But I'm thinking about something like Rocky and Bullwinkle. I haven't seen it like in 20 years, but thinking back on it, there's a lot of stuff I think was going over my head. Like, oh, I wasn't around in the Cold War. I wasn't around. And that was all just a lot of like, I mean, yeah, sure. There was like, and plus I had the whole like, meanwhile, in the 1940s, you know, I had that kind of like, you know, newsman radio voice. So I'm thinking like, such a big like kids like, why does he talk so fast? What's going on? Why are they fighting Nazis and Russians at the same time? Like, and like, you know, because it was always so continual and so serialized too. So I think it's just one of those things like, okay, remember this Cold War satire cartoon from the 60s? Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting though, because Rocky and Bullwinkle, I think, was the first cartoon to be serialized like that too, where like they had a continuous story going on. Like it wasn't just random ass episodes.
Easy.
Yeah, you know, well, because at that time period is just, yeah, a lot of times it's just like, here's a quick, here's Jumping Jackrabbit and whatever the hell else there was, and like all these real quick shows. And that was one of the first ones where it's like, you know what, we can make this into a full on story. We'll make it interesting for both kids and adults. We'll get them all kind of hooked in there so that they don't feel like they're sitting there going, what the hell am I watching?
I might need to actually go back and rewatch it just out of curiosity to see if like, because it wouldn't surprise me the least bit if maybe some early South Park type shit was going on. Like what if they were making, I mean, I don't know if that was the case. Probably not week to week. But I wonder if they were like, okay, let's try and keep up on world events so we could satirize it. I'm wondering that because there's a lot of shit that was going over my head when I was watching as a kid. And granted, I wasn't the smartest child, but at the exact same time, it wouldn't surprise me the least bit if that's what they were doing.
Yeah, you never know. They could be doing like that too. Because I literally haven't watched it since probably the 90s, so it's been a good while. But I always did like Rocky and Bullwinkle. You know, I'm not saying that. You know, but even speaking of kind of like.
They would pat it out. They would pat it out with the Dudley Doo Right and Underdog shit, where it was more like, oh, you don't need to. That wasn't continual. It's just here's the fun short stuff.
Yeah, so you have all those stories and whatnot too. George of the Jungle, I guess, was part of that, and yeah, all those ones there. Which I would literally watch every single one of those. That was still back in the day when you watched every cartoon. You know what I mean? Like pretty much, I feel like in the '90s, you just watched every cartoon that was created since the dawn of time. Pretty much, like that was all part of the lineup. You know, where nowadays, you know, it's just there's a big missing part of like old animation. But yeah, that used to be there. But I was even thinking, you know, even speaking of that kind of Chuck E. Cheese, Five Nights at Freddy's kind of ness, you know, where like that would actually work kind of in an interesting way that I feel could work in both a nostalgic way, but then you could also kind of make it modern, would be to take something like the Nintendo Land at Universal Studios and literally put like a Nintendo kind of theme Chuck E. Cheese thing in there. You know, I know they do have like the Yoshi's Bar or restaurant, where the hell it is. Yoshi's fucking Bar and Grill.
She's just Yoshi just like in a fucking dive bar. There's just like a guy in a Yoshi costume just hunched over. Like, it's Yoshi, Mom. He just looks over at the kid, just doesn't say nothing, just goes back. And just like, my wife won't call me back.
Somebody's looking at the menu, like, hey, this looks like the same fucking menu of like Jimmy Buffett's place. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up. I bought those rights fair and square when he passed away.
It's just called the pit. That's all it is. And like maybe like the eye is like a Yoshi egg at the dot. Maybe that's what it is, the pit. But it's like, oh, I guess it's a Yoshi place. There's a little like Yoshi egg on the dot, which would be, and then like you go in like just the normal dive bar. They're just like a couple of guys dressed as Yoshi there, just being all fucking depressed. Like, what the fuck? Like, look, mascots need time to relax too. Okay.
Boy, the Yoshi Bar and Grill just literally became the place that all like the mascots were walking around the park go to after work to like fucking chill.
But they cannot take the masks off still. They have to drink it through. Is Princess Peach vaping right now?
To be like, you know what? We stopped taking the kids to the Yoshi Bar and Grill. It just became they allowed smoking in there. Well, I don't think they allowed smoking. It just no one's gonna stop them.
There's a minion doing like 5-finger fillet, just like doing that shit.
You know, as long as every employee is fine with smoking, which they are, that smoking can continue.
You know, it started off as like one day a guy came in, a guy dressed as Yoshi, wasn't doing so good, and he was just hunched over. He wasn't reacting to nothing. It went viral. More people like, hey man, I'm going to come in too. And then it just kind of was unspoken. It just became the new thing. You know, it just kind of happened this way. We don't know. We're right next to Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. It is right next to Jurassic Park, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's like, I guess, one Universal Studio block away from Jurassic Park. I think what the hell was there even beforehand? It's next to where Backdraft used to be for anybody who wants like a 25-year-old reference.
It's where Backdraft used to be. Because, you know, you got to be next to this purist that come in. It's like, you got those purists that come in that are like, man, I can't believe they got rid of the Backdraft ride. I can't believe they got rid of the Joe Dirt ride, you know, for this bullshit.
Yeah, it's just not the same anymore.
Was ever a Joe Dirt ride?
I don't think so. But you never know.
I'm stealing a joke from like Bill Murr. I fucking hate Bill Maher. Bill Burr was talking about he went to Universal Studios and took his kids. He's like, I waited 2 hours and 45 minutes for that fucking Mario ride. It's like an 8-minute bit about it. It's fucking hilarious. But at some point he says like, my wife got the super VIP thing, and since the Mario thing is so new, it works on everything but the Mario thing. It's just like, hey, you can cut in line at the Bill and Ted ride. You can cut in line at the Joe Dirt ride. You can cut in line at the Tango and Cash ride. You know?
Probably just naming off all kinds of Universal movies and so on.
Yeah, he says like, but this you gotta fucking wait. Like this is like, and then I'm not gonna do the whole bit, but he is like, and after for 2 hours and 45 minutes, we finally get up to that fucking line, and there's some lady dressed like fucking Mario, like, are you guys ready? Like, you're asking me to give you more energy. I've been standing here for 2 hours and 45 fucking minutes, and you're demanding more energy from me. How about you just shut the fuck up? And like, just like a total like Bill Burr stuff.
This is a super rant.
It was good. At some point, he's like, I don't know, he's gesturing like he's like, well, you got your kid there. He's like partially on a couch, and like part of like a cushion falls over. He smacks it back like it's a kid or something. So, it's just small stuff, kind of like that, you know.
Boy, well, I'm glad we caught that one like literally like 10 minutes before it was going to close. So the line was like maybe like 20 minutes, if that even.
Okay, so. Did Cisco go in with the laminated like print out of like, okay, we go now, just kind of like that?
Yeah, close enough. Pretty much. We were running in there. It's like, oh shit, there's one more ride. Let's go. You know, right. Go before they throw us out. You know, one of those ones.
Just like they're closing the gates, just like sneaking sideways like that.
Here, we'll start the car up ourselves. It's not a pull start, sir. It's on a track. Oh, it's not on a track anymore.
You do the wipeout thing if you don't start right.
Got Lakitu coming after you to like take you off the track. Oh, not here. Come shooting out of the park on like the carts. Be like, so that's not how it's supposed to be. We were supposed to put locking mechanisms on there.
John Hammond comes out with like a fucking Koopa shell and like in the amber. Like, no, not like this. Next time. There won't be a next time, John.
There's no more. Well, technically, if you think about it, business should always, there's going to be faults, and we just got to keep trying. Like, I always love how, like, in movies, nobody ever tries again. They always get that sort of, I always call it the Wile E. Coyote syndrome, because that was what used to bother me a lot when I watched Looney Tunes as a kid, is Wile E. Coyote, he would try things once, and it would not work, and then he would never try it again, ever. That's it. That one time, I'm like, well, why don't you take that first time and make it better? And that used to bother me as a kid. Like, as a kid, I'm watching and be like, I'm obviously not getting, like, the way that normal people are supposed to be watching it. I'm thinking about, like, no. You're supposed to progress that invention every single time. Every single time. Make it better. Just keep working on that, and you'll eventually get them. It's going to work out.
Just make a shorter fuse on the rocket shoes and, like, maybe have a parachute next time. That's all you got to do. You really just got to plan around this thing. Maybe you wait for the anvil to drop before you, like, step under it. You know, you just really got to plan these things out a little better.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, going back to that Mario theme. See, the Mario kind of Chuck E. Cheese theme would be actually kind of a cool thing if you kind of went in and they had all kinds of kind of cool Mario animatronic characters and put the rest of the goddamn Nintendo crew in there, not just Mario. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Mario, but like, it was kind of a bummer. Like, you call it Super Nintendo Land, there's not even a Super Nintendo in here, you know. But have all like the old arcades, have the mixed matches stuff in there, have a legitimate arcade, you know, have some kind of cool Nintendo themed pizzas and so on like that. I think that could be an awesome kind of thing, because then that would be the one that like you would get all like the old folks like us coming in and be like, oh, this is pretty fucking awesome. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese. Look at, there's a pinball machine here. I feel at home. Yep. There we go. I could live here, you know.
The only problem with that kind of thing, I'm just being realistic here. The only problem with that, I mean, it would have to be massive, like almost kind of like the size of like bigger almost. Another local reference, actually going back to another movie we talked about, but like it has to be bigger than like the Santa Cruz Boardwalk arcade. You know, it'd have to be fucking huge, just because whenever they have like a themed like hangout area at theme parks, it just, they gotta like, okay, you had your 20 minutes, come out with a cattle prod, shoo, get the fuck out, you know. So hope you enjoyed the experience. So I think it'd be cooler if it was like a separate, like, granted, it'd be expensive as fuck. You'd probably be booked months out, but it'd be cool if that was like a separate thing. Because in like a theme park, it's like I went to the Star Wars Cantina in Disneyland, but oh shit, I lost them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Andy's back. Okay, cool. I went to the Star Wars Cantina in Disneyland, and it was cool, and it was immersive, and the drinks were good. But there was also a little bit of like this, like, you couldn't just hang out there and have a drink. It was almost treated like a ride in itself. You either had to be in line, and you had to get a reservation, and the reservations came in shifts. And if you weren't there, like, at a certain if you didn't show up that shift, if you're in line, you have to sneak in. Cool. And I went in. It was cool, and the drinks were good. Drinks were expensive as fuck. And the way you can stay at that bar is if you're like drinking a lot, you know. So, and when you have like a Dagobah daiquiri or whatever the fuck, you know, when every drink, the cheapest drink on that menu is like $16. That's for like a draft beer or whatever. Then it's like, okay,
like a Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I didn't try that. I actually got some kind of like,
they just call it Wampa Piss or something like that.
I would have tried Wampa Piss. Like, let's see. Is this just Mountain Dew with like? Did you just like pour some Pabst in a Mountain Dew? Like, yeah, that's what we get.
Yeah, it's not Mountain Dew though. You know, it's the off-brand one.
like off-brand Mountain Dew, like Mountain Spring or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but there's like I had like some kind of gin drink, and I don't know what they put in it. It was like it was like it was like some weird gin drink, and it was really good and had some weird Star Wars name, and I was just like, $18 fucking for something that big? God damn! Yeah. And granted, it was like the size of it.
6-ouncer.
Yeah, it was really good, but I was like, fuck, dude. Yeah. So, and I was just like, so it's kind of hard to really totally take it in and enjoy it when it's, that much.
Because that's all you're thinking about. You're like, I paid $18 for this. You're not thinking about the actual drink. You're thinking about how much you just paid on that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, maybe I should have gone with the Wampa Piss. Fuck.
Which one of those ones?
Imagine, I don't mean to cut you off. I just imagine like someone's like just ring a bell. Someone ordered the Wampa Piss. Like a guy in a fucking Wampa costume comes out smoking a cigarette. He's like walking on the bar, puts the glass there. He's like,
oh, just fucking fire hose just starts going into it.
It's just like starting to miss the glass, even run on the side of the glass. He's just looking down at you. Still has a cigarette in his mouth.
Puts the cigarette out in the drink when he's done. Sort of slides it over to you. You're like, you better drink that or we'll rip your arm off.
It's considered disgraceful in Wampa culture not to take what they offer you. Like, oh, fucking goddamn.
Everybody's fucking looking at you in line. Just totally on the spot.
He's like, oh, it's actually kind of good. Whole crowd cheers.
Yeah, of course you'd say it's good.
The whole crowd cheers. Yeah, the robot piano player starts going back to playing the piano.
In Wampa culture, to say it's good is actually a bad thing. Give me your arm.
Yeah. Does it like a suplex on you.
But actually, I think with the Nintendo Land, where it actually would work well is in City Walk. City Walk, I think if you had it over in that area, one of those kind of like restaurant areas, you could get some good space there. And then you could always people could show up there and it wouldn't have to be like, oh, I have to be inside the park. And it doesn't have that ride issue. And it's just a regular restaurant, Dave and Buster's, but better themed. Because that's what I say about Dave and Buster's. Dave and Buster's feels like it's kind of like generic people's arcade. It's not really like, hardcore arcades.
Well, I think it's also like, for me, in my opinion, I think Dave and Buster's is kind of like, how do I put it without sounding like a fucking elitist snob? You kind of put it is kind of generic people arcade with a bar. And I think for people who I think for like, like a firm or like a business, like I think it's more made for more than a kid's party. It's more made for like business events or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a Christmas party at this law firm or something. Maybe not a law firm, but like it's something
like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just a cheap law firm, not the big ones. I think it's something kind of like that more. They probably get most of their money. I'm sure I've had a birthday at Dave and Buster's, and I felt like, wait, they serve like, because I saw like it was right when the Star Wars Pod Racer game came out. The one where you get to drive, and I was like, oh, cool. And there's like a Dave and Buster. It was back when I lived in San Jose when I was a kid, and I had a birthday there once, and it was cool. But like, as an adult, you kind of go to places where they have more of like, oh, this thing, they have Street Fighter 3 over here. It's like the small things like that. Like, I don't need the fucking bullshit where you're like on a fake motorcycle doing this. I just like, dude, they got a Japanese arcade cabinet. Awesome.
Well, I bet you if you went to Dave & Buster's, I didn't go to a Dave & Buster's till like the 2000s. It was like the first time I ran across one. So I bet you if you went to one back in like the 90s, that probably actually was a pretty legitimate arcade setup at that time period.
I stumbled into one at a work party in 2019 or 2018, and it was very much like, it was a fun time, but it wasn't like anything right. It felt kind of like we don't got to try. We got whatever. We got most of the game. I mean, they had some like Street Fighter 5 or whatever, like on arcade, but it wasn't like, it was stuff you'd expect to see at those kind of arcades. It wasn't anything like cool. It wasn't any of the smaller, weirder niche things like you might come across at like a independent arcade,
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not, you don't find a couple of cool cabinets and so on there. I've definitely always found something interesting to play. But yeah, it's not like, especially just this day and age, just not the same thing, I mean, sometimes you find some of those cool ones. Like there was one in like it was in like downtown Los Angeles, and it was like an arcade bar. The one thing, this is just the old person in me, and maybe just the hardcore gamer as well too. But then there was like some DJ playing the whole time, and like I felt like, you know what, it'd be nice as if that DJ just shut the fuck up and let's just hear the arcade music.
I'm just imagining you just like on a rocking chair saying that, like, oh, it's all these fucking kids are all just doing that shit. The arcade I'm talking about, actually, there's one, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it didn't bother me, but I mean, so there's this really cool arcade / bar called, I think it was called the Emporium, and it was there's a couple locations in the Bay Area, but I think the main one was in San Francisco, Lower Haight-Ashbury, and or Lower Haight, not Haight-Ashbury, but Lower Haight, and they had a bunch of awesome beers on tap, and then they also had like, it was basically an old movie theater, but they converted it into an arcade. And they had a lot of, they had some of the obvious ones, and they had like some classic stuff like, Simpsons Brawler stuff, and then a bunch of like Japanese fighting games like Street Fighter 3 and all that kind of stuff. And then some newer stuff too. It was very well rounded. And then it was also like one of those double layered theaters with a balcony and all that, overlooking. So there was a lot of room for games and people to sit around and hang out. And usually they'd be projecting like old kaiju movies or like anime or something to that effect on this big screen throughout the day or throughout the night. But apparently on Fridays and Saturday nights, they get a DJ. And it's like, okay, whatever, it's Friday night. And I was just, actually, James, my friend, was visiting, and we were out there playing, and like I think we were playing like Turtles in Time or something, and then all of a sudden like the DJ starts playing like some Justin Bieber, and all these people like, yeah, baby, oh fuck, baby, just getting right into it, and I'm just like, why the fuck Justin Bieber? Like the math, like most of the people here when this song came out, they were like 10 or 12. Fuck, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, like you just suddenly feel like the Grim Reaper's scythe just kind of loom over you the second you kind of start to think about it, because you're just thinking like, yeah, if they're like playing some Backstreet Boys or whatever, and I'm like, okay, whatever, yeah, sure, Backstreet's back, okay, cool, right on, but they start playing some fucking old school Justin Bieber, and these kids are just fucking losing their shit, and like, oh, we're the old guys playing Ninja Turtles while these kids just mosh to like fucking, these kids mosh to fucking Bieber.
Yeah, no, I've seen that happen many a times. The Bieber goes over hardcore, yeah, in DJing. So it's weird. It's hard to get used to. It's just like the same thing with Party in the USA, Miley Cyrus. Like people go ape shit. Literally ape shit, like 2 steps away from throwing their shit at each other, like going back to primal. 2001. Yeah, like a monolith comes down, fucking Miley Cyrus.
It's just Miley Cyrus.
Just circling around it, Party in the USA. Yeah, no, it gets fucking weird. Or that was like the other one too, was like, remember DJing, and it was like they wanted I guess it was a Frozen song. I think that's what it was.
Oh.
And that was the one where the fucking kids sang louder than the speakers of the DJ system at that thing. And I was like, now I know what the Beatles felt like when they were playing those shows earlier and they couldn't hear them fucking selves because the audience was louder than they were.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm just... It's kind of funny. Well, I guess that's also one that everyone knew but sometimes you know the ones in the front row were the drama kids. It had to be the drama kids in the front row, because there's always just something about like that flavor. I'm not giving it shit. I mean, I was in some drama classes too, but I was like, I'm in drama classes. This person, that person's cool, but sorry, I'm coming over a cold. But this person, that person's cool, but these guys are a bit much over here, you know? And there's always just something like, they just gotta sing and act constantly. And like, I remember like back when I was like working in San Francisco, and I worked at a bike rental place, because the place was right by the Academy of Science. So you always be getting field trips going by, and I could always spot the fucking drama kids, because whatever musical just came out, they'd always be like wearing it, and they'd just be singing. Like, so Hamilton just came out, like, I'm not gonna waste my shot. I'm not gonna waste my shot. Just singing that, like wearing Hamilton, like, all right, that must be the drama kids. Okay.
Yeah. They sure stand out.
Yeah. I'm standing out amongst the crowd. Like, oh, wow. Classic. Nice work.
Yeah, well, that's always the weird thing about drama kids, is that it feels like they only have like 50 albums to choose from. Like, that's over 100-year period. You know, that's like it. You know, there's not that much. It's not like heavy metal people that got like a lot of music to choose from. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real deep cuts in drama or in musical theater.
You know, if you kids really wanted to stand out, here's some Metallica right here. Here's some Def Leppard. Here, I'll throw a little bit of Iron Maiden your way. See if that gives you some fucking chest hair.
Yeah, well, those ones. But you know, I want to say, going back to even like the arcades, is like, 'cause that one that you're talking about sounds pretty awesome. And I'll say this, like, the DJ wise, if the DJ played music that was themed around video game type stuff, I think that would be okay. I just don't really like when the music has absolutely nothing to do with the video game stuff. Now, granted, I get it. Like, obviously, the DJ would look at you and be like, yeah? You think playing Justin Bieber was stupid? Look at the fucking audience. You're the fucking idiot. Like, oh, okay. So, yeah. We're Ixnay, I guess. I guess we're the two fucks playing Turtles, you know, and bitching at you.
Do you realize?
Yeah, you are. You're the two asking for fucking Weird Al Yankovic, you fucking idiots.
Do you realize right now, as I yell at you from behind my speakers and my laptop, I'm getting sucked off by two people at the same time? How is that possible? You'll never fucking know, because you're not playing Justin Bieber. Like, oh, I guess you're right. All right, shit.
Why'd you go back and play your fucking Battletoads? It's Turtles. Same fucking difference. He's right.
Okay, well, we got yelled at by a 22-year-old in a beanie, so let's go. Well, he put us in our place, so let's go. That's all we deserve is our turtles and our IPAs that cost $8 a pint.
Yeah, one of those ones. The other thing I notice a lot of times in arcades when I find them, that even if they are kind of neat ones, I notice that there's a certain section of arcades I have a hard time finding anymore. Like, you'll go to an arcade, and of course, you know, a lot of times you'll find the modern ones, you know, the ones that are, you know, from like the raw thrills, like all those kind of like 2000s or 2010s on up. You'll find those ones. And then you'll find a lot of the 70s kind of 80s arcade cabinets. Those aren't too hard, I think, because they also make a lot of replicas of all, you know, especially, you know, Centipede, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, yada, yada, yada. I noticed that the ones that are kind of hard to find are a lot of times like the 90s into early 2000s arcade cabinets. Those ones, like, it's like, you don't just normally run across a lot of times like a Lethal Enforcers one as often, or you don't run across, like, especially I haven't seen a Police 911 in a very long time. You know, just even some of the other certain variations, like, you know, you'll find like some, maybe the big ones, like you'll see some of the Time Crises and ones like that appeared more often in like movie theaters and so on. But then trying to find like Crisis Zone or even Virtual Cop and those kind of ones like that, those are the tough games to find.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder if it's just one of those things like just wear and tear over time, and it just became cheaper just to like get rid of the game than have the guy come out, keep on repairing it and fixing it.
Well, yeah, I think there's always that too. And it's like anything that, like, as it gets older, more and more of them get recycled, more and more of them get tossed out. There becomes less and less. Of course, they weren't producing as many arcades in the 90s as they were in like the 80s and 70s, so there's actually probably more cabinets of some of those older machines, ironically, than there is of some of those ones. But you would have thought that probably by the time the 2000s rolled around, people started preserving those arcades maybe a little bit more, maybe not as much. I mean, there's always that weird period where people just go like, oh, it's out of style, toss them out. You
It was
know,
probably before there's a lot of appreciation for it. Before, like, this is just something the stupid fucking kids like, and they're gonna forget about it as soon as something better comes out. So probably that kind of attitude.
yeah. So, but it's like it's one of those ones like that's the ones I always notice I have a hard time finding. Is anything kind of about like maybe mid '90s to like 2005, like that kind of range of games. Those ones. I mean, I'll find them every once in a while. I'm not saying I don't find them, but I just don't find those ones as common as I find sometimes like some of the '80s ones that are a little bit more you see a little bit more often.
I actually one of the places that had the best arcades, and I know you'll probably agree with me on this. Now, I've only been there once, and I was there when I was 14, so I was too young to do anything else. But Las Vegas had some of the best arcades because they did have all the new stuff along with a lot of old stuff. And this is talking from like 2002, 2003, around that time. So who knows if it still stands. But I remember when I went to Las Vegas for the first and only time with this one friend, and I was like saying, guys, there's like this Sonic the Hedgehog fighting game. It was a QZAR, which is this laser tag place, which got destroyed years ago or whatever. And they would never believe me about this Sonic the Hedgehog fighting game. Like, yeah, it's like a 3D Sonic game. You're fighting people. You're fighting each other. I'm like, no, you're fucking making that up. And then like, it's apparently Sonic the Fighters or Sonic Champions, depending on which one it was. I think now it's officially Sonic the Fighters, but I think some cabinets were called Sonic Champions. It was like a very rare cabinet, apparently. And then we were going through like Vegas, and one of the people who I was telling about the game who never believed me, we came across it like, see, I told you, fuck you. And like, it was like all these years of just wanting to play that game again because it was just this game that was just like so elusive. And it's like a diehard Sonic fan. I was like, it's finally here. It's finally eventually. Granted, it would come out years later on GameCube, but like it seemed like that forbidden thing you'll never find again. And then playing it, I was like, there's better games, but regardless, I'm happy to have it. You know, I'm happy to be playing it right now. You know?
Yeah, no. Yeah, finding those ones in the arcade. I was like, when I found the Mega Man fighting game like in the arcades before, I was like, what the fuck? What is this?
Is that
like
the
almost
one
like
where
it's
you choose like between Mega Man, Proto Man, and Base, and you fight different bosses?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, there's two of them or something like that. I found that in Reno a long time ago. But you know, the interesting thing is Vegas used to be like the mecca of arcade cabinets. It felt like in the 90s in America. Like I don't know how many other places would be as good as Vegas was, because that's why I have so much nostalgic love for Vegas as a kid, and nobody could ever figure that out when I would tell them that. They'd look at me like I'm a psychopath for saying how great I love Vegas back then. But it was one of those ones where it's like every single casino had an amazing arcade, and they were all different from each other. So you could just literally walk from one casino to the next, and you would just find a brand new plethora of cabinets to choose from. And they were so good. I mean, I remember like the Mirage had a fantastic one. Sahara, when it was around, had an amazing one. The MGM Grand had one of the best arcades I've ever seen. New York still had a solid one, Sam Circus, but it was so cool to have all that. And the thing is, I haven't been to Vegas in almost like 20 years by now, that I kind of wonder if it's even, I'm almost afraid to go because I don't want to be disappointed. You know what I mean? I don't want to go down there and go, this is where it used to be. And now all that's here is rubble and mess and nothing's left over. Because I hate to sort of say it, that's how Reno is. Like when I go to Reno and I went to like the Circus arcade, and that used to be a great one back in the day. Nothing. No arcade cabinets, just the ticket machines, and that's it. And it's just so sad and crappy. And even some of the other ones I found too, it's like you'd find, maybe if you're lucky, you might find, oh, here's a modern Space Invaders or something like that. You know, here's a couple of the Raw Thrills ones for the new ones, but like, God, they just kind of suck. So I'm kind of afraid if I go to Vegas, maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong. There might be more of a holdover. There might be some more neat stuff there, some retro arcades. I still kind of want to look, but I'm kind of afraid. I just don't want to go there and be like, all these things that I grew up loving doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. No more. It went away off the wasteland.
Imagining you going to MGM Grand and like only people our age are in the arcade, and then like Andy Garcia is watching from like the security footage. Andy Garcia from Ocean's 11. He's like, who's this guy that keeps on playing the Time Crisis machine? He's been out for 45 minutes. Like, sir, we think he's really into the game. No, he's on to something. He's on to something. Don't let him leave. Let's see. You're doing the whole fucking casino treatment. Like, okay, you're leaving with the tickets in a broken hand, or we can go for free. What do you want? You know?
I gotta keep going. I'm at the last stage. You know what I mean? I got 2 more quarters to my name. Don't you dare take this away from me.
I respect that, but we're still gonna have to break one of your hands. Break my non.
Break the left one. That's not my trigger finger.
I respect it.
Man, that guy's dedicated. He's still going at it with a broken hand.
Keep your eye on him. He's in it with that George Clooney fuck. I know it.
But yeah, it's one of those ones. I just don't know. I really want to go to Vegas to check it out just to see like an archaeological investigation, you know. But you don't want to kind of come home and just be like, what's the point? It's just all gone away. There's nothing out there for me. It's all gone, lost in time. To the point where like you start being like fucking old Indiana Jones telling stories that like, dude, that didn't fucking happen. Like, I was there. I know there was a Mad Dog McCree game in Santa Cruz. I used to play it all the time. I had some of the best of it. Okay, old man, get out of here. No, don't take me away. Don't take me. He's dragging him out of here.
But it's like, I'm trying to think on like, just to be Indiana Jones, just to be that guy, be some old man shambling. Let me tell you about my adventures. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of some boy in an ice cream shop.
That was one of the best ones where he goes in and like Indy fucking like assaults some guy behind like the ice cream shop, and then he's like, I gotta tell you a story for an hour about like some real tyrant people back in the day. It was World War I. Oh shit, here he goes for 45 minutes again.
I killed a lot of Germans so you could make some ice cream.
Be grateful, you son of a bitch.
Killed a lot of Germans and a lot of Asians. Be grateful. Like, whoa, you can't.
What were you killing Asians for? I don't know. They just happen to be there. You were in Africa. Oh. Well, let me tell you another 45-minute story. We were on this riverboat, you see. Oh, geez, here he goes again.
About the raft going down 5 waterfalls. It was 3. God damn it! It's not.
Everybody exaggerates that story.
It's only 3 waterfalls. And yes, I saw aliens.
Yeah, they're real. Damn it,
And Jesus too.
I saw it all, I Forrest Gump my way through life. Before Forrest Gump even did it.
What was I going to say?
Let me tell you about the time Picasso bought me a hooker. I was 10 years old.
Oh, really? Is there an episode about that?
This literally does happen. Literally, he's hanging out. It's him and Norman Rockwell, and like Norman Rockwell's like 14 and young Indy's like 10. It's a boy episode. And they're hanging out with like Picasso, like late at night. Like Picasso doesn't think anything of this. They're like, hey, let's take these kids back. We'll get some drinks, some hookers, and make some fucking art.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm just visual. Imagine George Lucas in the pitch meeting for that. Like, all right, so here's what's going to happen. George, it was already weird when we did the math. We didn't think about the time. We did the math, and like Meredith told Indy that she was just a girl. If you do the math, she would have been 12. He would have been like 19. So that's fucking weird. All right, we didn't put the math together then, but now we're doing this thing where you're taking historical figures and they're doing blow and fucking hookers with like kids. Yeah, what's wrong with that? You got to grow up sometime.
It's educational. What, you don't like education? Fucking anti-artist.
You look up the subtext of what Norman Rockwell's pictures were.
Yeah.
If you could
They're all
draw
about
like
fucking. That's what they all are. Every single one's about fucking.
This boy painting a fence, it's code.
He's fucking that fence.
These two kids jumping into a river. They're probably gonna be fucking each other. I guarantee it. Like, all right, George.
This guy at the dentist office, that dentist's fucking him.
He's strapped down. Where's he gonna go?
Where's he gonna go? And then he's gonna look at his wallet afterwards and be like, "Man, I totally was fucked." So, you know what, young Indy, he's going to learn that that's what artists do, you know, get hookers, do blow, stay up late, fuck.
Da, 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 da.
Shit, did you know that Indy almost started World War I? Why? Well, he was trying to bang the daughter of fucking, like, you know, Austria.
Well, shit. I didn't know that. I didn't see that episode, but now I'm thinking like he almost started World War I. Like, whoa, boy, I almost started, but luckily there was enough. Well, me was thinking brought America into it, but I almost started. Was it like did he?
He was like hanging out with Franz Ferdinand's daughter.
Oh, he was hanging out with Franz Ferdinand's daughter. Okay. I was gonna say like. Because what brought America into World War I was ships where we were transport. It was one of those things like, look, we'll send you guys some guns or whatever, but we're not doing this. This is a European thing, all right, guys? Fuck that.
This is a you issue, not us.
Yeah, it's a you, not a USA issue, okay? You know, and they send some guns, and Germans keep on like, oh mine, what is that? And like blowing it up, like, oh motherfuckers, right? Guess what we're going, you know? So I think so. For a minute I was like, oh, was Indy on the boat? Was Indy like on the boat or some shit? And then like just barely was like, oh no, he's trying to fuck a daughter, trying to fuck Franz Ferdinand's daughter.
Yeah, well, then Indy, he only joins the army before like America's even involved because he's just there with the Belgian army.
Oh, okay.
That's how he signs up. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have to watch these eventually. I know you guys did a whole like retro of it on via VHS, so I'll have to watch that at some point. But
yeah, it's well worth it, you know. But yeah, arcades, finding all those good ones like that. It's like an Indiana Jones adventure that there's some archaeological digs you got to kind of go through, and then find the right ones too. Because sometimes you go to some arcades and then there's something like missing. Like, you know, you'll go there and you go like, something's not right. The atmosphere doesn't feel like what it should feel like. You know, especially when the DJs are playing the wrong music. And I know that once again, I'm probably that old man bickering on the ground. This is not how it's supposed to be. Damn it. It doesn't feel like 1993 to me here. How about you guys? I wasn't born yet. Oh.
You're literally Indiana Jones with a fucking cane, like getting the DJ around the neck, like, listen to me.
Listen to me, Sonny. Like slapping him down on like the spinning rack, like, breathe. Damn it. That old man over there is attacking him. Like, sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. It'll be like, oh, damn it, I'm an American citizen. Yeah, but you were born before the millennium. Get out of here. You're causing a riot, a riot.
You were here before the internet, so get gone. Your kind is not welcome from the before times.
Obviously, you can't handle technology enough, so you must stand outside where you belong in the weather.
Go back to quoting Jurassic Park and sticking to the original 151 Pokemon, okay?
Because that's all your brain capacity can go to. Damn it, we had gold and silver too! Shut the door on me. Shut the fucking door. Can you believe it? Shut the door on me. Well, I guess I'll go play some gold and silver. It's where I belong. That's all I know.
That's all I have. I'm not sure if we're winding down, but I was gonna say because I kept on derailing it. We ended on something else. We never actually talked about what a fucking Nintendo themed arcade would be. We could edit this out or cut it out right here if you want. But I was realizing you kept on trying to bring that up, but I kept on talking about this one time at Bullwinkle's, you know.
This one time at Bullwinkle camp.
The robot tried to fuck me. What? Yeah. Anyway.
Anyways.
Backtrack.
Five nights at Bullwinkle's. Bullwinkle just walked around with a heart on all night, and I had to keep the doors locked.
It's just Bullwinkle's list. Where are you going? Just these gloved hands coming over the top of the bathroom stall. The fucking antlers rising up.
We found him over here, Rocky. My mom ain't gone. Rocky's like sliding in on his belly underneath the stall, looking up. He's got nowhere to go now. Get over here, you commie son of a bitch.
That's the thing. They're programmed to kill communists. They think everything after hours is communist.
Well, the way that these fucking kids believe nowadays, they are a damn commie.
You want your free healthcare, huh?
You know what that free healthcare gets you? Rations. And they're going to take your land from you next. That's what they do. They give you free healthcare, so you're looking at the left hand, and on the right, now you lost your property. What kind of a goddamn fucking free American are you? You know what? We took that property fair and square from the ninjas. It's our God-given right. It says it on the fucking flag.
Ask Dudley Doo Right. He fired the gun there. He rode his horse backwards to get there. You have any idea how hard it is to shoot a native while riding your horse backwards? Shit.
Take some fucking skill. And we got Underdog on the team. Damn it.
Let's just say Underdog did not take mine to the Geneva Convention, okay?
But yeah, Nintendo theme park, I think, or themed restaurant, I think would be pretty dope though if you had like literally like all like kind of the cool characters, even if it was like almost like Planet Hollywood themed, where like, you know, you had just sort of setups of like, here's kind of cool replicas of characters and, you know, like the poses from certain games, like, oh, here's Samus 1993, you know, Super Metroid or whatever. You know, and then you have other kind of things, and then it's got the arcade, which of course would have predominantly Nintendo themed arcades, but then it would be intermixed with other kind of games as well too, I think.
Yeah, you probably have like you probably get someone trying to do ambitious shit, like it's only a matter of time before people try to steal this shit, or some asshole comes and breaks it. Like Skee Ball could look like Samus in a morph ball or something, or like Kirby, but then it'd be like, no, dude, this is just, it's cool, but it's too cool. Someone's going to fuck it up. You know, someone's going to destroy it. There's like that kind of thing, you know. Of course, the obvious one is if you have a little bumper car thing, make them look like Mario Karts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's so much you can do, but I do think, I hate to sort of say, it is this day and age where like that kind of like full-on mechanical theme type stuff is way too expensive. I think that's the thing. Is people go that because it's like, perfect examples, like you go to the Mario Kart ride and they felt like, we found a way to save a fuck ton of money on this. Put a little AR headset on them. There you go. We got shit. We don't have to design anything else. Put them on the track. Send them down. They got an AR headset on, so we're just gonna shoot the fucking Mario Kart fucking 8 characters in there because we ain't updating this shit. Like, there you go. They got a little button. They're shooting shells out. Simple enough.
Okay, so it's all a lot of fixed stuff, and it's the AR headset where you see a lot of the characters.
Yeah, so you're literally going down this slow ass track. It's still kind of fun. I mean, like I'm not gonna say that I was like, it's not as exciting as playing Mario Kart, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of go down at like 5 miles per hour, and you look in your headset, and then you just literally have like, you know, it's like an on-rail shooter, where you try to rack up the highest kill score going down the track, shooting everybody else.
You just come back to like how many of Bowser's children's heads did you collect? You just like shake a bag of it.
You just got a bunch of like, you know, like Koopa kids, like ears that like you wear around your neck.
Got Wendy, I got Ludwig, I got Lemmy, I got Iggy. Like, not Iggy, no. Yeah, I got the good one. Yeah.
So it's all Bowser's kids from his first wife.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know what? We got a divorce, so I literally just gave her the fucking kids. That's it. You know what? That's too many mouths to feed, you know. And a lot of them, let's be honest, they've grown up. They fucking can move out. I know they want to stay at the castle, you know, and live here because I fucking paid the rent. I bring in the fucking dough. I'm Bowser. I keep my fucking eye out on this kingdom here and whatnot like that. But I said, no, fuck it. You're old enough. You guys get out and get your own fucking job. You know what? You claim your own kingdoms. Be a fucking man and woman. You ain't just gonna be Bowser kids no more. I got my one kid. I love that one fucking kid. It's great when you got one kid. It's easy you can spoil them. Try taking 9 fucking kids to an amusement park. That is fucking expensive.
I don't care how many castles you own and how many governments you've toppled. Yeah. Well, I like to imagine that they are Bowser's children still. But what happened is he went back in time and met himself. And he's such a narcissist that he decided to be a father to himself. I'd like to think that's what he did. I don't know if that's the official canon, because originally there was something about time travel, but then he's because it's baby Bowser, and this Bowser Jr. later. So I like to think he went back in time. He says, I like me so much, I want to raise me right. So that's what he's doing. He just abandoned all his other kids.
I like that one, because in my book, they all are Bowser's kids. No way you taking that away. I feel like you can't retroactively do that. No, Bowser has a lot of fucking kids, and that's just who he is. But then he decides, you know what? I just want to focus on one.
I feel like 9, that's too much attention to divide. But put a lot of focus into 1, though, well, at least 1's going to turn out right. Is he? You're giving him a lot of singular attention. It might make him be very entitled and selfish. Shut the fuck up. Who's the father here, huh? Who's got 9 to 10 kids? Well, really, 1 kid now, but who hadn't 10 kids?
Oh yeah, but yeah, Bowser, theme parks, Nintendo lands, old arcades. There is this old world out there that you can discover here and there, and be interesting to see what happens. But that's probably a good old place to wrap it all up at. Go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Eat Some Boys, animations, old videos, and all that other fun jazz. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.